Hey, what's up, amigos? This is nothing more than just an update video because I really don't have much going. I mean, I actually do have a lot going on, but just don't know where to start at. You know, I'm just kind of fit to be tied with where to start because every single motorcycle has something to be done to it. With the work schedule enough, just can't seem to find all the time I need to make footage and then edit. But let me tell you what's going on here. The Sportster, Ironhead. It's, you know, acting like a typical Ironhead Sportster. You know, and ironically, this is like the one motorcycle out of all the bikes I've got. Every one of these bikes have broken down on me in some kind of way, except for that one right there, which is very odd. But anyway, you know, as I accelerate on it and try to get down on it and want to, you know, pass somebody or whatever, it starts cutting out like it's running out of gas. I've done everything I could think of to the carb. Nothing's wrong with the carb. I upped it to a 75 main jet, which was a 70. I even changed the emulsion tube. The carburetor is working fine, but when it gets a load on it and I want to pass somebody, if I'm not in a high enough RPM, then the acceleration just is nothing, hardly anything. But I found that if I run it without the air breather on there, or shall I say the air filter, which is sitting right there on that chair, then it runs really great. So maybe the air filter is clogged, maybe it's just not breathing well enough, I don't know. But also I found an intake leak on the manifold on the front head, and so I tightened that band up and it seemed to run better at an idle. But it's kind of late right now and I don't feel like running up and down the road anymore like I have been and irritate the snot out of my neighbors. And anyway, the Shovelhead, here it is right here. I put hydraulic lifters in it thinking it would, you know, eliminate one maintenance thing I'd have to worry about, you know, kind of like set them and forget them. And I wanted a quieter engine than was with solids. And this is about what it sounded like. Yeah, that. And I can't seem to figure that out. That's got me tied in knots. I mean, I followed the directions just like I'm supposed to, you know, with as far as adjusting your push rods, and everything I did perfectly. The lifters have oil in them. I know they do because I pulled the lifters back out. There they are. And every single one of them is like this. I cannot compress that spring. So I know they have oil in them, and I got oil on my hands. So I decided to say the heck with it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the radius of those push rods that I bought does not exactly match the radius of the cup that's on the lifter, and because there is no up and down lash, but I can move them side to side no matter what I do. And no matter how well I adjust them, they still, I can still nudge them side to side, which is not supposed to happen in my book. Or maybe, I don't know. Then again, I don't know shovels as well as some of you guys may know them. But I just pulled them back out and decided to go back in with the solids, being that I already have a new cam in there. I mean, I'm sorry, on the last video where I started it up, it sounded great, but like I said, running it down the road and back, you know, it just sounded like a turd. I mean, it sounded worse than it did when it had solids. So what I've done, I started to put the solids back in, the other push rods. But then I remembered I got in a hurry on checking the in-play on my cam, thought it was fine. Then I decided to check it again and thought maybe 18 thousandths was not that bad. And as I started to go forward with it, I decided, no, my conscience is bothering me too much. So I got to looking it up. 8 to 10 thousandths is what I found is what those motors tend to want. And Andrews, even though it's an Andrews cam, it says 10 to 15. So I've got some shims coming to take care of that, and the Tramp over here is still a rideable motorcycle. It's just that it's got a same kind of scenario as with the Ironhead, but it doesn't do it every time when I go to get down on it when I'm like doing 70 or whatever and to go to pass somebody. It doesn't do it every time, but it starts to cut out. So I think it needs a bigger main jet in the carburetor, which I have. I just haven't gotten around to it. I mean, when I first put that SNS on there, it didn't run too good. And so I started messing with bigger jets and it ran a lot better. So maybe it just needs one more step up of a main jet. The Softail over here runs reasonably well if it weren't for the fact that, well, when I'm warming it up and it's sitting at idle, I can smell gasoline. And I don't know why that is. I haven't done anything to the carb. Maybe it's just spent too much time around the Ironhead and the Shovelhead and it decided to pick up some bad habits. Who knows? But I mean, as you can see, it's black right there on this pipe here, where this exhaust had blown soot all over it. And if you look down here on the fender, it's got black soot all on it. It looks a lot worse in person than it does on the camera. So it's running a little rich. It's dumping more fuel in it than what it ought to, is what it seems. So I got to go into that, fix that. And what else do we have going on? Oh, the redemption bike. Yeah. Whenever I would start this thing up while getting warm, it would make a whistling type noise, like a suction type whistle. And I narrowed it down to the intake manifold. And if you guys remember, I said in the video that when I was building this bike that I set the intake manifold with just a random carburetor body, but then went to use a different carburetor on it, that is different CV carburetor, and I found out that not all CV carburetors are created equal. So when I tried a different CV carburetor on there, it didn't line up too good. It didn't line up perfectly, and I got a little impatient and kind of force fitted it on there, and I think I damaged the intake manifold. Yes, me, yours truly, did something dumb. You know, I'm not a pro, but that's what happened. So I don't know if I cracked the intake manifold or caused an intake leak, but while it was making that noise, while it was idling, and idling kind of rough, I sprayed some carburetor cleaner on one of the heads where the manifold meets the back cylinder, and it ran better. So there's that. So what I've done is, in case the intake manifold is broken, I got a new one. Well, not a new one, but a new to me when I bought it from eBay. And the guy who I bought it from even sent the flanges and the bolts to it are in this bag. Anyway, and I've got like a whole bunch of intake seals and carburetor boots and stuff, so I'm pretty sure that's the deal with that. And as far as the bagger, there is absolutely nothing wrong with this motorcycle right here. Anyway, but that's what's going on. So I'm up to my elbows and a-holes in motorcycle stuff, and you guys just wish me luck with all of this stuff, especially that Ironhead issue, because there's a special something I want to do with that, and I'm not going to release what that is. But that's that. So until then, you guys keep the rubber side down. You be good to yourselves. Thanks a lot.